Assalamualaikum. Nama saya Nur Sabrina binti Rusnan. NIM-nya adalah 2371000100712 dan ini topik yang dibicarakan adalah konverter daya elektrik yang fokuskan kepada design DC-DC boost regulator using the MATLAB. And for this subject, this is lectured by Dr. Tri Nurwati STMT. For the boost regulator, the meaning of boost regulator is the controller that can raise the value of the output voltage by using one component that is mostly used, which is MOSFET. So in this simulation, I want to determine the value of the value voltage input and output. Also, the current input and output will be different through the inductor and capacitor voltage. This output is totally depend on the value of the voltage source. So by refer to that figure, which is have the sources that will provide the energy, that the current will be flow into the inductors, and inductors will be provide the current value, and the current will be go through into the MOSFET and also diode and load, also capacitor, but the capacitor have some capability to store the current, the energy. For this example, we use the example of 5.6 as our information to get used in the circuit configuration, which is we use the voltage source as 5 volt, and the voltage output, the average voltage output is given as 50 volt, which is we must use the 5 volt, and the final result of voltage output must be 15 volt. By doing the simulation in the MATLAB, we can figure out how the MATLAB was made up to get the output of 15 volt. Okay, for the average load current, we use as 0.5 ampere, and the switching frequency, we use it 25 kilohertz. Also, we use the load as 150 microhenry, and the capacitor is 220 microfarad. Okay, based on this figure, we use the information that I have been told earlier to get all the information, and we summarize in the MATLAB. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi. Okay, this is my configuration for the MATLAB program, and I am programmed the circuit based on the circuit that I have been mentioned before, and I'm using the MOSFET as my auto switching, and then also I use the inductor and capacitor for the storage for the storage energy, and this is diode I use, and the voltage source, which is DC. I use the direct current, and the output will be shown in the scope. So I use the scope to get the 8 information, which is VS, IS, I1, IC, VC, IO, and the last one is VO. VO is referred to voltage output. IO is current output, or current that is flow into the load, which is resistor, and the VC is voltage at the capacitor. IC for current that flow through the capacitor, and I1 is the current that go through the diode and also inductor, and the current at the inductor is given name as I1 IS, and the voltage source is V source. And I will run the simulation by clicking at the run button. The stop timer I use is 1 second, and result that I have run before. The simulations shown us the result as this 7 data, which is VS, IS, I1, IC, IM, VC, IO, and VO. For the VS, it's shown 20 volt, and the pattern for the I I1, IC is quite similar with the answer that have in the slide before. And the VC, IO, and V out is stand for the 60 for the VO. IO is stand for 2, and VC shown us the value of voltage at the capacitor, which is similar with the V out, that voltage that in the load, and capacitor is similar because each other is parallel. Okay, for the discussion, um, from the result of output that I have figured out before, which is when I'm using the voltage source 5 volt, 10 volt, and 20 volt, the voltage output that is referred to V out is getting higher than the voltage source. Also, the average output that is current that is referred to IO or IC is less than the average inductor current. Okay, this is shown that this circuit is successfully rise up the voltage source from lowest to highest, from the sources to the output, shown us the biggest increases. Also, uh, the this converter has a higher efficiency due to the single transistor that I'm using in the MATLAB simulation. From the above information, the boost regulator is proven as a step up voltage. Because the element that is contained in the boost circuit is consists of the large filter capacitor and the large inductor. That those of buck regulator and it's most higher, and it produce the higher output compared to the buck regulator, which is will be step down the the voltage. And the large capacitor and inductor act as a good energy storage.